Foolish Americans. Don't they understand what will happen to them? The rebels are building fortifications. They're going to force my hand.
What are your orders, General Howe?
We're going to have to blast them off those hills. I had hoped they'd come to their senses and spare themselves.
You can see all of Boston Harbor from here. The redcoats won't let us stay here without a fight.
The men have worked all night, General Putnam. If the lobsterbacks try and take Breed's Hill, we'll make them pay a heavy price.
If the men are brave and don't panic. I'd have more confidence if we had stores of ammunition. Colonel Prescott, every shot will have to find its mark.
17 June, 1775. Dearest Mother, I am in a place called Bunker Hill, near the city of Boston. I'm glad you cannot hear the terrible sounds. The awful battles of Lexington and Concord are the cause of all this trouble. The colonists seem determined to drive our troops away from Boston. But there's a spark of good news. There's a British officer who might have some knowledge of Father's whereabouts. Oh, I'm hoping to find him and learn what I can. Please do not worry about me, Mother. I am out of harm's way. I am worried about James and Henri. They've gone to interview the rebel militia for Dr. Franklin's Gazette. Still, I can't imagine even they would be reckless enough to get caught up in this. If nothing else, maybe this day will bring us news of Father. I promise to tell.
What have we here? Could we have got ourselves a rebel spy?
Sergeant Wellright? It is I, Sarah Phillips. I'm a guest at the Essex House.
Yes, of course, Miss Phillips. But this is no place for a British subject. These hills are crawling with rebels.
I am still looking for Lieutenant Hampton.
Ah, yes. The man who served under your father. But it's too dangerous for you to stay here. I'll send Hampton around after we put those rebels in their place.
But
I'll hear no more of this, young lady. I insist. Corporal, escort Miss Phillips home. This will allow you to pass through all checkpoints and rejoin us in battle.
Is there ever a time you're not hungry?
Only when I'm eating.
You expect me to take orders from you? Who made you king?
Colonel Prescott. That's who.
I don't serve under Colonel Prescott. I'm with Captain Parker. One more like that, I'll resort to fisticuffs!
These men are going to fight the British? Looks to me like they'll be fighting each other.
They're nervous and angry. Look, Henri, here we are at the fence at Bunker Hill. About 500 yards away is the fort at Breed's Hill. Here you can see in where the British are. Now come on, we've got to find Dr. Warren and stay away from any fighting.
Who is this Dr. Warren we're looking for?
An old friend of Dr. Franklin's, one of the leaders of the Massachusetts Sons of Liberty. He'll help us get our story.
How will we recognize him?
Sarah and I met him during Paul Revere's ride. He's a wonderful man. You're going to love him. And with you around, I'll be needing a doctor.
So, Corporal, what's your opinion of the rebels?
I have no opinion, ma'am. It's not my place. I just do my duty. Tell me, why are you looking for Lieutenant Hampton?
My father is in the Ohio wilderness, and we've not heard from him. I'm told the lieutenant may have seen him. Corporal, won't you please help me find this man who could lead me to my father?
Afraid not, Miss Phillips. Orders and all.
Oh! Corporal, my locket fell off.
Very well. There. There you are, miss.
Forgive me, Corporal, but I must find my father. Yeah!
Wait! Miss Phillips!
James, you must leave, son. The British will arrive shortly.
Leave? But the people need to understand what's happening here.
You're right, of course. I admire your courage. Gentlemen, James writes for the Pennsylvania Gazette. He wrote those wonderful stories on Paul Revere's ride and the heroic events at Concord and Lexington.
Very well. Good.
Is this young man a journalist too?
Henri's only interested in finding the best pastry shops.
Well, come along. I'm looking for General Putnam and Colonel Prescott. But Henri must go to Cambridge, away from danger. Agreed?
Agreed.
Agreed.
Halt! State your business.
I'm on a special mission involving a British soldier.
And exactly what mission would you be performing?
This says permit bearer to pass, and that is the seal of Sergeant Wellwright. Do you recognize it? Good. Then tell me your name, soldier, so Sergeant Wellwright will know whom to have court-martialed.
Very well.
I am seeking a Lieutenant Hampton. Do you know him?
He's leading one of the companies that will take Bunker Hill.
Yeah! Phew. I wish James could have seen that. And thank goodness Mother didn't.
This is mad. That's it. Come on, Stockton, we're through here.
You men there, return to your positions.
Sorry, General Putnam, but we haven't had sleep or food. You're not paying us enough for this.
We're not paying you anything. The only payment I can offer you is freedom from the tyranny of the British Parliament.
Praise be! If Dr. Warren is joining the fight, then I'm staying!
Good, we need you.
Dr. Warren, you couldn't have come at a better time to assume command.
I wouldn't dream of assuming command from such an experienced soldier as you. I wish only to serve where I can be most useful.
That, sir, would be where the Redcoats are going to attack first. Breed's Hill. There you can assume command from Colonel Prescott.
General Putnam, I wish no command here. I would consider it a privilege to fight under Colonel Prescott.
Need another volunteer to go fight on the hill with Dr. Warren?
Thank you, soldier.
But Dr. Warren, why would you risk your life as an ordinary soldier?
It's ordinary soldiers who are making great sacrifices. I would be honored to stand alongside these men. Anyone can speak about his beliefs, but it's soldiers who shed their blood to make those beliefs a reality.
Could you slow down? I need to write.
Sorry, lad, no time. But remember, it is your duty to tell the world that we are willing to die for our freedom.
You can count on me, Dr. Warren.
Good man. Now it's time for Henri to go. To Cambridge.
Yes, sir!
Run, Redcoat! Redcoat! Come on!
Ready, men?
The attack is beginning!
Ready! Forward march!
James, stay back here by the fence and away from Breed's Hill.
Be careful, Dr. Warren, please. Why don't they shoot? The British are almost on top of them!
They've only got 5 musket balls apiece, and almost no powder. Our men will have to make every shot count.
Steady, men! Hold your fire until you see the whites of their eyes!
I was trained to save lives, not take them.
If you can't fight, we would understand. No one would think you a coward.
I abhor fighting, but believe in the cause of liberty. But for freedom, we must fight. So I shall.
I hate them Redcoats.
Try not to let it be about hatred, soldier. There are times when a man has to stand up for his rights, but he never has to hate.
Ready?
can't see a thing. What happened?
Yes, they've retreated.
I am most displeased.
Those ragtags turned us back. Many casualties.
Henri, it is I.
The reinforcements have arrived, sir. More than they can imagine. We are better armed and better trained. We will take both of those hills, Sergeant. Whatever it takes. Whatever it costs.
Did you find the man who knew your father?
He's with the British attacking the hill. Where's James?
Up there, near the fighting.
You heard what he just said? James has to get out of there. Can you find him?
Certainement.
Have your men seal off this side of the hill so the rebels cannot get reinforcements of their own.
Yes, sir.
Here, you may need this. It's a pass you can use to talk your way through any checkpoint.
Won't you need it to find the man you're looking for?
Don't worry about that. Just go. I'm sorry, Father, but I think this is what you would have wanted me to do.
Okay, I'm supposed to be a newspaper writer. So write. Bunker Hill, June 17th. Today, a small, under-equipped band of colonist volunteers defeated the best the British...
James! James!
What are you doing here?
Sarah sent me to warn you. You've got to get out of here. The British are sending more soldiers. Lots more.
No! They're attacking a second time.
Come on, let's get out of here.
No, wait. General Putnam, they brought up artillery.
And more reinforcements. I need volunteers to accompany me to the aid of Colonel Prescott on Breed's Hill.
That would be folly, sir. Our men will be out of powder and gunshot before we could reach them.
You're right, of course.
But Dr. Warren is over there.
I'm sorry, son. He's right. There's nothing to be done. We've got to retreat and save the men we can. Dr. Warren and Prescott will hold out and cover us.
Steady, men. Regroup. We hold our fire till close. Make the most of your ammunition. Then we'll fall back.
Empty!
Sons of Liberty.
Massachusetts, man.
Henri, make sure Sarah gets to safety.
Where are you going?
To find Dr. Warren.
James! Come back, son!
Colonel Prescott!
We lost the hill, James. Ran out of ammunition. One more volley and we'd have stopped him cold.
Have you seen Dr. Warren?
It was chaos up there. Last I saw him, he was covering our retreat. Best you come along with us to the Charlestown Neck. You might find him there.
They're retreating. The hill is ours.
General Gage will want to report.
Tell him it was a dear-bought victory. Another such will ruin us.
General, the mission to check on the wounded.
Granted. I'll join you.
Dr. Warren? Has anyone seen Dr. Warren?
He was behind me, back there.
Thanks.
Nearly half our men dead or wounded. It's a disaster. We might as well have lost the hill.
We won the hill, Sergeant. You'd best remember that.
It's just a hill, sir.
Lieutenant Hampton? Lieutenant Hampton! Corporal?
You can stop looking for my brother. He was killed.
Your brother?
Lieutenant Hampton was my brother.
But you never told me.
You didn't give me a chance. I'm sorry, Miss Phillips, but there will be no help finding your father today.
I'm sorry about your brother, Corporal.
Thank you, Miss Phillips.
Dr. Warren? Dr. Warren? Dr. Warren? Sorry. I thought you were Dr. Warren.
Dr. Warren saved my life. He saved many lives covering our retreat. It was the bravest thing I ever seen. I tried to get his body, but...
Body?
I'm sorry, son.
Dr. Warren? Gone? But how can that be? He was such a good man.
We lost many a good man today.
Then what I will write is that the price of freedom is not cheap.
James, are you all right?
I'm fine, but Dr. Warren's dead.
Oh no! I'm so sorry, James. I know how much you admired him.
And I've got to write that the colonists lost their first real battle with the British. That will weaken our cause, the very cause for which Dr. Warren gave his life.
Maybe the story is not what you think it is.
What do you mean?
What happened at Bunker Hill is in the eye of the beholder. We, the British, sustained hundreds of casualties.
Really?
I was in their camp. They may have taken Bunker Hill, but they feel like they lost. This was a blow.
You were in their camp, looking for the man who knew your father? And?
Killed.
I'm sorry, Sarah. Did Henri find you?
Of course I did. James, who won the battle?
I don't know that anyone did. But our job is to report. So let's get back to Philadelphia.
What's the matter, Henri? I've never seen you throw away food.
After all this, I'm suddenly not so hungry.
Quite a story, you two.
Dr. Warren was quite a man.
He sacrificed so much to help others live.
A lot of people made sacrifices at Bunker Hill.
You can tell Dr. Franklin I'm ready to print. What in blazes could be jamming the works this time? Pastry?
Why are you looking at me?
Dr. Franklin, Moses is ready when you approve our story.
Now let's see. The colonists suffered heavy casualties, but withstood the best the British had to offer, defeated only by a lack of powder. There's only one thing I should like to add. By standing together, the colonial militias prove they have the will to take on the powerful British Army. The name Bunker Hill will be remembered in history as the event that turned a Massachusetts rebellion into America's revolution. The king has lost his colonies.
Dearest Mother, though I am well, my heart is heavy. I regret that my long journey to Boston yielded no word of father. Sadly, the fighting at Bunker Hill resulted in the death of Lieutenant Hampton. Many others died as well. And along with them, I fear any hope for peace also died at Bunker Hill. We must accept that you and I will not be together soon. This will be a long and costly uprising. I remain your loving daughter, Sarah. January 1776. Dearest Mother, I can't escape the fear of all-out war between the colonies and England. The colonists believe they're fighting for their rights as British subjects, but some feel the only way they can get those rights is to break away from England.
Sarah, you seem troubled.
I'm worried, Dr. Franklin.
About what?
War. I fear this rebellion may get out of hand and lead to something awful.
What could be more awful than the situation we're in now? Our rights trampled by a parliament half a world away.
I wish someone would give me 10 minutes alone with that King George.
That's no way to talk about His Majesty. He's our king.
He's not my king. I'm French.
The whims of royalty have laid the world to ashes. King George is a worthless, brutal man, the crowned savage of Great Britain. Your servant, miss.
Why, bless me, Tom.
You know this individual?
Don't judge a book by its cover, Sarah. James, Henri, Sarah, I'd like you to meet my old protege, Thomas Paine.
Editor of the Pennsylvania Magazine?
If it wasn't for Dr. Franklin's letter of introduction, I'd be rotting in the gutters of London.
You're looking thin, old friend. How long has it been? 2 years? Come dine with us and share your adventures.
A dirty, ragged man who publicly slanders the king. And here we are, breaking bread with him.
The challenge is the elevation of the common man.
I wish he'd start by elevating common table manners.
Mr. Paine, it's a great pleasure to meet you. Your essays against slavery have been an inspiration.
Thank you, good fellow. I'm opposed to all forms of tyranny. You see, our current struggle is not really with England.
I'm happy to hear you say that.
It's against all privilege. It's against any system where some have unfair advantage over others.
I agree. Aristocrats are all wet.
Tom, your passion is stirring, but why aren't you still writing? I read not a word by you in months.
My good doctor, I've done nothing but write. I've been struggling to define this revolution of ours, to explain it in a way that will make it clear to every man, woman, and child. At Benjamin Rush's suggestion, I've called it common sense. It should be on the streets any day now.
May I?
And what conclusions have you reached?
I make the case for total independence from the crown.
Independence? You would cut ties to the king himself?
The sooner, the better.
Tom, while I agree with you, I'm not sure the people are ready for such a radical solution. The majority are still loyal to the king. Their beef is with Parliament.
Ben, the whole idea of a tiny island like England imposing rule over a giant land like this is absurd.
But that's how it's always been.
And people once thought the world was flat. It is my hope common sense will change public opinion.
Tom, in my youth, I was hot-headed, but have since learned the virtue of patience.
With all due respect, Doctor, tell the widows and orphans of Boston about the virtues of patience. I have no patience for patience. Thank you for the meal. Good evening.
That man has some temper.
And some pen. Europe and not England is the parent country of America. This new world hath been the asylum for the persecuted lovers of civil and religious liberty from every part of Europe. Hither have they fled, not from the tender embraces of the mother, but from the cruelty of the monster. This is fantastic.
I'll never read that man's pamphlet. It's dangerous. He wants to start a war that will take years to end.
Sarah, Tom is simply putting into words what is already in the hearts of many. He's a good man. However, I concede his temper is a problem.
I'll see that he stays out of trouble.
I'm coming with you.
But you don't even like the man.
I don't. But if Mr. Paine's common sense is going to appear in print, the Gazette should have it.
I thought you weren't going to read it.
I'm not. But we are a newspaper, and common sense is news.
Hey, wait for me!
Moses, we'd better get the press ready. I have a feeling we're going to need extra copies of Common Sense once word gets out.
Where could Payne have gone?
Ooh, I hope home to bed, which is where I wish I were.
Either you're all cowards or you're all fools.
He must talk in his sleep.
Come on!
Away with you! You're blowing smoke. This is crazy talk. America's not our country. We're Pennsylvania men. This is our country.
You've got a narrow mind for someone with such broad shoulders.
Why should we fight to defend hot-headed foreigners from Massachusetts?
Because unless we fight for each other, we'll all end up slaves to a British master.
The man makes sense.
How does he figure that?
He's not making sense.
Why do you hesitate? Has the stink of fish turned your heads to pudding?
Who are you calling a puddinhead?
Time to shut his mouth good.
All right then, come on. I'm not afraid of the lot of you.
Nice shot, James!
Get him! There he goes! Nice Jim! We'll show him we will fight, huh?
Come on! This way!
That way! What's this? Common sense?
1,000 copies. I hope that's going to be enough. It's 8:30. You'd better open the shop.
Early to bed, early to rise. 1 out of 2 isn't bad.
Quickly, I must have one before you run out too.
Run out of what?
Common sense, of course. Where else am I to find a copy? Wake up, lad. Bradford's is out, so is Hammersby.
Ben Franklin's! This way! Maybe they have copies! Hey, what are they doing?
They closed the door.
I thought they had it. They're supposed to be open. What's going on?
Moses, better make that 2,000 copies. If this keeps up, Common Sense will be the best-selling pamphlet in the colonies.
It's dangerous propaganda, and we've helped spread it.
That's not true. You haven't even read it yourself. How do you know it's dangerous?
I know treason when I hear it.
Well, if you aren't interested in this story, you don't have to come along.
What I'm interested in is making sure we get both sides of the story. Not everyone is going to agree with Mr. Payne's ravings. If we're going to gauge the public's response, we need to get the complete picture. That's good journalism. I'll interview that gentleman over there, and you can interview that one.
Come along, Henri. I don't want you wandering off.
No thanks. I think I'll have a lot more fun without you two.
Common sense. More like nonsense. We're all Englishmen. I didn't hear these rebels complaining about the king when he sent his best men here during the French and Indian War.
So, in your opinion, common sense fails to address...
It's rubbish. And I'd feel the same way even if I had read it.
To me, common sense makes sense. It's like these threads. Alone they are weak, but together they are strong, unbreakable. Each thread adding its own weight to make the whole strong. That is how we must weave this new land, knowing for the first time in human history, we are all of equal value. A friend of yours?
Sometimes.
Well, what did he say?
The tailor thinks Payne is right.
Well, I spoke to a merchant, and he thinks Mr. Payne is wrong.
That's because you only interview rich Tories.
I most certainly do not. We'll stop the next man we see and interview him together. Good day, sir. My fellow journalist and I seek your opinion.
We'd like to know what you think of Common Sense.
I'm for it.
You've read it?
Hasn't everyone?
Huh? I've hit the jackpot!
We'd very much appreciate your views on common sense.
I'm proud to say I'm a successful man by virtue of my own labor. The men who work for me are paid a fair wage. We share mutual respect. But when I travel to England on business, the rich avoid the eyes of the poor. The poor do likewise, fearing the wrath of the wealthy. Whether my sons fare well or poorly in life, I will not have them fear another man's gaze. That's my opinion, and that's common sense.
And that's one more vote for independence.
Henri knows the streets better than we do. Why do we have to find him?
Because Moses will need help printing more copies of Common Sense. Henri has a way of vanishing when there's work to be done.
Don't you ever worry about what all this will lead to?
Of course not. If I can't find Henri, it will lead to a lot more work for me. You're not talking about Henri, are you?
No. I mean this rebellion. This Tom Paine character telling people the king is a tyrant. If enough people believe him, the whole world could be turned upside down.
Sarah, don't be afraid. Be encouraged. As Tom says, we have a chance to begin the world anew. I can't think of anything more exciting.
All right. Why don't you search the dogs for Henri, and I'll head home to get supper ready. James, sometimes you're not as terrible as you are at other times. Henri? Henri, James has been looking all over for you. You shouldn't be in this disreputable place where people are... reading Common Sense?
I found a crate full. If you don't mind a little mud, they're not bad. Publisher sells them for 1 shilling. I'm getting 2.
I'll give you 3 to get home. 1, 2...
Hey, I've got customers here.
Of more worth is one honest man than all the crowned ruffians that ever lived.
Here's another. We break not from the tender embrace of the mother, but from the cruelty of the monster.
Don't say such things. If you call the king our enemy, he'll become our enemy. It will cause years of bloody fighting, and Great Britain will win.
Pay her no mind. She's just a girl.
A girl, maybe, but no lady making herself a spectacle.
Quite right.
You were saying something about leaving?
Don't worry about that rabble, lass. I'm taking this filthy pamphlet to the proper authorities. They'll know what to do with the author, whoever he is. The coward didn't even have the courage to put his name on it.
You were saying something about Great Britain winning? English girl? I don't want English in here.
Let's show her the door.
She's not welcome here.
Let's get her out of here.
You really know how to make friends. No, stop! Free copies, free! Here!
Out of the way.
We serve no cause if we're as intolerant as our old masters.
Tom Paine!
Your servant, miss.
Who's Tom Paine?
If you had any common sense, you'd know who Thomas Paine is.
Are you hurt?
No, thank you. I have a temper and sometimes forget the virtue of humility.
Humility is an overrated virtue.
It's better than arrogance.
No, Sarah, it's not. I was not high-born. I've had to grovel before fools. I was a fool myself, failing at everything I turned my hand to. Corset maker, tax collector, cobbler. I found my calling with words, but only after I vowed to never again bend my knee before any man. If that's arrogance, so be it.
I was taught differently.
You are a woman, yes. Society has placed you in a different station, but we both have souls, and souls need a voice.
Oh, Sarah's got a voice. You should hear her when she's cross at me.
Sarah, Henri, I've been searching everywhere.
This speaks better than I. You may find this revolution is for you as well.
War with England?
My favorite! Apple peach pie!
Dr. Franklin?
I've just finished reading this troubling little pamphlet for the third time. It's written in simple language for ordinary people, but its simplicity is what gives it eloquence. Mr. Payne says the common people are capable of ruling themselves and don't need kings or even men of wealth and high station to rule over them.
But men in your own Congress disagree. They say without guidance, without controls, the common man is impulsive, even violent. Mr. Payne seems better at tearing down than building up. That pamphlet is dangerous.
Indeed it is. There's nothing like it in print, but sometimes dangerous ideas are necessary. The rabble can be violent, it's true, but so can kings. Mr. Payne has written something profound. Common sense is a revolution in thought. It appears to have taken an ordinary man to grasp the power of ordinary men. Well, to dinner.
We just got home. Why are we out again when there's still half a pie on the table?
I wanted to listen to the night.
We have night at home. And did I mention the pie?
Shh! It's not about rich men fighting other rich men for more. It's about us.
But we don't need a king. We can rule ourselves with laws of our own making. 'Tis not against anyone. 'Tis a struggle for a new way of being.
They're all reading Common Sense because it makes sense.
I'll say I made 3 pounds.
Don't tell me. You haven't read it?
I read the cover.
It's worth reading more.
I thought you weren't going to read it.
Well, I thought I should at least know what I'm arguing against. Look! Mr. Payne said he wanted opposing views. Well, he's got them now.
Let's get his story.
Mr. Mayweather,
Yes, Father?
you'll need to pick up the pace if we're going to get these up before dawn. And if we ever get our hands on the scoundrel who wrote this treason against reason, I'll tar and feather him myself.
I've got to warn Tom.
We've got to warn him.
I thought you were against him.
Hurry up! Oh my!
Welcome to my palace.
Tom, we've got to get you out of here. The Tories are looking for you. Quick, out the window.
What are you doing?
Aren't you going to make a run for it?
If I ran every time someone disagreed with me, I'd have circled the earth 5 times. I have nothing to run from. Let them do what they will with me. They'll never stop an idea, not if it's a good idea.
Hey, are you guys coming? Anybody?
At ease. Gentlemen, last night I read a most remarkable little pamphlet. I have ordered copies printed to be distributed throughout the ranks. Study it. Learn it as you learned your Bible. And for those of you who cannot read, pay close attention to these words. For were the impulses of conscience clear, uniform, and irresistibly obeyed, man would need no other lawgiver. But that not being the case, he finds it necessary to surrender up a part of his property to furnish means for the protection of the rest. And this he is induced to do by the same prudence which in every other case advises him out of the 2 evils to choose the least. Wherefore, security being the true design and end of government, it unanswerably follows that whatever form thereof appears most likely to ensure it to us, with the least expense and greatest benefit, is preferable to all others.
James, more paper.
Coming right up, Moses.
We must have printed 1,000 copies, Moses. How many more do we need?
5,000. Dr. Franklin says we need a copy for every man, woman, and child in the colonies.
James, more paper!
Keep printing, Moses. There's plenty more where this came from.
I can't believe General Washington wants to see you.
I can hardly believe it myself.
You're an esteemed man, Tom.
No, just a simple man with a simple idea.
And the best-selling pamphlet in America!
With all that money, maybe you can afford a better room.
I'm donating every shilling to the American soldiers. They lack shoes, blankets, and powder for the muskets. The money will do the country more good than it will me.
Here, give this to the soldiers too. It's really your money anyway. Although I could spend it plenty good myself.
It has been a pleasure, Miss Phillips.
It has been enlightening, Mr. Payne. Dearest Mother, out of chaos sometimes comes a new and better order. Perhaps it's as Mr. Payne says.
We have it in our power to begin the world anew, to bring forward a government in which the rights of all men shall be preserved. O ye that love mankind, ye that dares oppose not only the tyranny, but the tyrant, stand forth. America shall make a stand not for herself alone, but for the world.
Dearest Mother, it feels wonderful to stop and rest upon my return to New Windsor to cover events at General Washington's headquarters. I just left James and Henri in Newport, Rhode Island. Henri is so excited that French forces have arrived. He brags that they will end the war, and soon. I do hope he's right. Sometimes it seems as if the violence has been going on forever.
Line company to drill after supper.
James thinks he can use Henri's help speaking French when he meets General Rochambeau, the commander of the French army. He told Henri he could go with him, as long as Henri promises to behave himself.
Excusez-moi! Excuse me!
Whoa!
And who have we here?
Henri, what are you doing?
Paying tribute to the pastry of my homeland.
Pas de problème. It's all right. Return to your duties.
Merci!
So, you are French?
Oui!
Is this young man a fellow journalist, James?
My apprentice, and he humbly apologizes for his actions, sir.
An apprentice who speaks French? Perhaps he might be interested in reporting firsthand how the British fleet has our navy blockaded in the harbor?
Would I? I mean, oui, mon général. I've been waiting for a chance to prove I'm as good as James.
I guess he deserves a chance, General.
I will make arrangements immediately.
Whoa! Driver, is someone shooting at us?
Sure looks that way, ma'am. It's a band of armed Tories. I'm Robert Shirtliff, Light Infantry, Massachusetts 4th Regiment. You best come with me to safety.
Well, I'm not so sure. All right. Armed Tories here?
Yes, ma'am. There are folks in New York still loyal to England.
Oh.
They help the British by attacking us where we don't expect it, behind our own lines. It's our job to stop them.
Is that how you got that scar on your forehead?
Yep, from a loyalist saber.
You were cut by a sword? You don't even look old enough to shave.
Shh, they're getting close.
General Rochambeau, sir, how do you like America?
It is not what I expected. Why, you don't even have a centralized government. Your Congress can only suggest what the state should do. Your treasury is empty, your military supplies are nearly exhausted, and the local citizenry is hungry.
I know. Even General Washington is upset that his soldiers must take food from citizens to feed themselves. But I'm sure he'll think of something.
He already has. The general sent Colonel Laurent to France to beg for more gold, guns, and gunpowder.
Why would he send Colonel Lawrence when Ben Franklin is already there?
Côte de Virginie, may I present Congress's special envoy, Colonel John Lawrence of South Carolina.
Bonjour, Colonel.
And good day to you, sir. Dr. Franklin has told me of how unfailingly the French Foreign Minister of Finance has supported our cause.
I wish I could do more.
You can do more.
Colonel Laurent, while you were journeying here to France, we graciously agreed to give America a gift of 6 million livres. You should congratulate Dr. Franklin.
Sir, you mock me. We need 25 million livres, otherwise I fear that the sword I now wear to defend France as our ally, I may be forced to draw against France as a British subject.
If I am to be insulted in this manner, I'm afraid I must take my leave.
Monsieur Virgin, a message has just arrived from Chevalier de la Luzerne.
And what does our ambassador to the American Congress in Philadelphia have to say?
He wants to know how you are progressing with your plan for a peace conference.
Shh! The Americans know nothing of my plan to betray their fight for liberty by going behind their backs to end the war with England.
Colonel Lawrence, a spoonful of honey will catch more flies than a gallon of vinegar.
Are you suggesting I apologize?
In a word, yes.
I cannot. We need that money. Don't you understand? General Washington sent me because he believed a soldier could explain to them that we are at the end of our tether, and now or never our deliverance must come.
Colonel, I am 75 years old and suffering from a severe attack of gout. I am afraid that I do not have the energy to pursue an action I cannot win. I will write Congress that I have secured the 6 million livres and add to that my resignation.
How many Tories do you think are out there?
I can't tell yet.
The Tories are right behind us, Robert. Guess we stopped them, Robert. Robert!
Rochambeau said that to you? We're disorganized and ill-prepared to fight?
In so many words, yes.
I don't understand him. He wants to send his troops south to aid Lafayette when he could join with me to retake New York City and end the war.
Robert, you've got to let the doctor examine you. The shot is still in your shoulder.
I don't want any doctors operating on me. I've seen too many men die after surgery. I'll handle it myself.
I don't know what your story is. Treating your own wound? I don't know if you're brave or foolish.
So, do the ships always rock like this? Back and forth and back and forth?
Out smartly. Report.
storm is putting the English fleet out of commission. Come, we must ride to Rhode Island and urge Rochambeau to send the French fleet to strike now.
Retaking New York City would make big headlines.
That would take too long. Right now, I need a quick victory. My spies are hearing rumors that Vergennes, the French foreign minister, wants a peace conference with the British to end the war. I've got no time to waste. I must have the French fleet dispatched. This is the perfect time for Rochambeau to sail for the south, capture Benedict Arnold, and defeat his army.
Now that headline would stop the peace conference.
Yeah!
French officers are so gallant.
I too am aware of the rumors that de Vergennes wishes to make peace with the British.
Then why do you waste 2 days honoring me with these balls?
It takes time to properly feed sheep for a successful mission.
Robert, are you all right? Robert? Hello, is there a doctor out there?
Yes, I'm Dr. Barnabas Binney.
I was talking to Robert, and all of a sudden he stopped talking and started sweating.
Symptoms sound like malignant fever. It's all over the camp.
Is he going to be all right?
I'll check his heart. What? Oh, no.
What is it? Is he dying?
No, Robert's going to live, but how shall I say this? Robert isn't a he. He's a she.
What? Dr. Binney thought it would be better if you recovered from your wounds here in his house, away from prying eyes. So while the doctor figures out what to do about a young soldier who everyone thinks is a man, but really is a woman, why don't you tell me your whole story?
Where should I start?
How about with your real name?
My name is Deborah Samson.
Deborah, why would a woman enlist in the Continental Army?
Heck, I was tall as most men, just as strong too, and I wasn't afraid to shoot a gun, so why shouldn't I fight for my country? I guess I was always kind of unconventional. See, my father went off to sea when I was a very young girl, and my mom was too poor to care for 7 kids. So I worked from the age of 10 to 18 as an indentured servant.
Indentured? You mean forced to stay and work, not able to leave until your mother's debt was paid off?
Yes, that's exactly what I mean. And I'll tell you one thing, working in the fields made me strong. After my chores were done, I taught myself to read, Sarah. I read every book I could get my hands on. I must have learned a lot, because when I turned 18 and earned my freedom, they hired me to be a school teacher.
But I didn't think women were supposed to be school teachers.
I caused quite a stir, and I'll tell you something. I really did love teaching. I guess not following the rules just comes naturally to me.
And since the Army doesn't accept women, you enlisted as a man.
Well, I sure tried.
Timothy Thayer?
Yes, ma'am. The problem was, I tried to join up in my own hometown. Not the smartest thing.
Timothy Thayer, huh? Well, I only know of one person in this town that holds a quill that way, because of an injured finger on her left hand. And that's the school teacher, Deborah Samson.
They caught you and you tried again? Why?
Well, I just turned 21 and I didn't want to just get married. And I wanted to fight for my country. To all brave, healthy, able-bodied young men. I knew the Army was hard up for soldiers, so I went to a town further away and enlisted there.
How on earth did you go unnoticed by the other soldiers?
It was hard. They teased me about not shaving, so... I told him I was just too young to grow a beard.
Your story is amazing! You took so many risks.
Yes, but I was always afraid of being caught. I'd heard of some other women who disguised themselves as men to enlist. When they were discovered, they were disgraced.
But you still had the courage to follow what was in your heart, no matter what the obstacles. Deborah? You should rest now.
What amazes me is that her disguise has gone undiscovered for over a year.
What are you going to do?
I'm afraid that I must follow orders and inform the army as to the true identity of Robert Shirtliff.
What is it, James?
Excuse me, General. About the letter you wrote to your nephew?
Ah, yes. I wrote to Lund that if Rochambeau had ordered the French fleet to sail south when I wanted, we could have captured that traitor Benedict Arnold and destroyed his army.
I'm sorry to report that it's been printed in this New York Tory newspaper.
Outrageous! That was a private letter to my nephew, and I was deeply upset when I wrote it.
Now everyone, including Rochambeau, is going to read it.
I will write Rochambeau an apology for my blunder.
Dr. Franklin, your genius for inventions never ceases to amaze me.
I thought a duet on my glass harmonica with Marie Antoinette might be nice. If you'll excuse me, Virginie, I believe the letter I've been waiting for has arrived.
Is it from America?
It's Congress's response to the letter I sent. Thank goodness they do not accept my resignation. They have the good sense to realize that when I resigned, I wasn't feeling well. I must write Congress and tell them that I'm feeling better, and it will be a great honor to once again buckle down to the business of America.
Then I shall take my leave.
Monsieur Vergin, the English have replied to your request for a peace conference.
There will be no peace conference. The English refuse to attend.
Why?
Because King George considers it to be a matter solely between England and her colonies. That is the end of it.
Pardon, where do the sailors sleep?
You must be Henri. Follow me. I'll take you to your bunk. This is your bunk.
There's someone in it.
But of course, there aren't enough beds for the whole crew. So, you sleep in it when he is on watch.
I can handle that. I'll be too busy as a journalist to sleep anyway. So, where do we eat?
Dinner.
Sacre bleu! Is this what you usually eat?
No, this is better. Wait till we set sail. That's when we get the bad stuff.
Let's company! Marche! 1, 2, 3, 4! 1, 2, 3, 4! 1, 2, 3, 4!
So, you're sure you don't want to continue as a journalist with the French Navy?
Oui. I guess you could say I don't have the stomach for it.
Hey, Washington's talking to Rochambeau. Come on.
Count Rochambeau, I am dearly sorry for any embarrassment I caused you with my letter. It was written in a time of distress and was meant to be private.
Mon General, I received your letter of apology. Consider it a matter of no consequence.
Thank you, sir, but I must persist. Have you given any further thought to my suggested plan of attack?
General, I have indeed considered your plan, and am now ready to join you in an attack on General Cornwallis in New York City.
Boy, Sarah missed a really good story.
I just know I'm gonna be disgraced.
But what you did shows how dedicated you are to the cause of liberty.
But I'm still worried they'll put me in jail for dressing as a man.
Deborah Samson, also known as Robert Shirtliff. Because you impersonated a man and enlisted against military policy.
Here it comes.
It is my honor to note your extraordinary instance of female heroism by discharging the duties of a faithful, gallant soldier. And therefore, I present you with an honorable discharge from the Continental Army of the United States, Light Infantry, Massachusetts 4th Regiment.
For a minute there, I thought I was in a heap of trouble.
Except you showed the whole nation what you are capable of.
I reckon I did, didn't I?
So, what will you do now that this adventure is over?
I guess I'm just gonna have to find me another one.
Another letter to your mother?
Yes. I just had to tell her how impressed I was with Deborah Samson.
I'll tell you, she impressed me, leaving that shot in her shoulder.
It's more than that. She made me wonder, if a woman can find a way to serve as a soldier, why can't she enjoy the same rights of citizenship that men have? Why can't this whole country be unconventional? I mean, aren't we already rebels? Henri, what are you doing?
If I couldn't be a journalist, I wanted to show you I could be a printer, all by myself.
That's great. Now you can show us how you can clean up.
All by yourself.
General Greene, being appointed to command the Southern Army is quite an honor.
Honor is an interesting word for it, James. The Southern Army is exhausted, and the British have a great deal of support in the South. We must rally the population here to our side, or we could lose the war. My greatest hope is that the governor of Virginia will provide me with much-needed men and supplies.
My greatest hope is that he'll provide us with some much-needed Southern desserts.
And I'm looking forward to writing a story about the man who wrote the words, "All men are created equal." The governor's mansion! Just think, in a few minutes I'll be talking with Thomas Jefferson. How do you address the author of the Declaration of Independence? Your Excellency. No, too formal. Mr. Jefferson. No, too familiar.
I hope we get to see him soon. I can't take much more of this.
She looks kind of like a chicken trying to dance in sticky mud.
Sir, great to see you again. Ah, that's better.
The governor will see you now.
Sir, great to see you again. Sir, great to see you again. Sir, great to see you again. We met before, in Philadelphia, you remember? Oh, maybe you don't. I was disguised as a chambermaid and I stole some of your trash. Well, I didn't really steal it. After all, it was trash and I was just doing some investigative reporting. And I was investigating you. No, that's not right. I was just trying to find out what goes on in that brilliant mind of yours. Anyway, Hello. James, tell me that wasn't perfectly awful.
It was better than I could have ever hoped.
Forgive me. I was jotting down a thought about developing free schools that all our nation's children could attend. A pleasure, General.
Sir, great to see you again. Whoa!
And you must be Henri.
Henri Richard Maurice Dutoit Lefebvre, from France. Yum!
So, how may I be of help to you, General?
Governor Jefferson, the British are preparing for a large-scale foray into the South.
I'm not surprised. Most Southerners are country folk whose main concern is earning their daily bread. They don't care which side they're on in the war.
Quite so. Here's the situation we face. This half of the desk is the Carolinas, this half Virginia. You're here. The traitor Benedict Arnold is off the coast, and Cornwallis holds strong British positions at Georgetown, Camden, Winnsboro, and 96. Oh yes, and here is the small force Horatio Gates has left me. A force I have not yet had the pleasure of seeing. I will take my forces to the Carolinas. If we don't stop Cornwallis there, he will drive north and crush Virginia. Governor, I'll need Virginia militiamen and weapons if I'm to have any chance of preventing Cornwallis from winning the South.
I evened things out. Now it's a fair fight.
Yours is a difficult position, General. I will help you the moment I can, but right now I have no weapons to give you, and all my militiamen have served their required time and gone home. I'm afraid I can be of no help, General Greene. I'm sorry.
Soldiers can be asked to serve additional time, but cannot be forced to do so. The idea of a people's army is unfathomable.
I admire what Governor Jefferson is saying, sir. Giving men the right to choose whether they will or will not fight sounds to me like freedom.
But we're in a war, Sarah. We won't have any freedom if we have no soldiers.
You do have a point, James. General, I hope you are successful in North Carolina. And James, Henri, I'll keep you up on events here in Virginia. In the meantime, I plan to find out how Thomas Jefferson found the inspiration to write the Declaration of Independence.
I hope you don't end up as disappointed in Governor Jefferson as I am. Be well, Sarah.
Be safe.
Look! Up ahead! Soldiers! Are they British?
No, probably some leftover Virginia militia. I am General Nathaniel Greene. Who's your commanding officer?
General Horatio Gates, sir. At least he used to be.
This is the Continental Army?
With these soldiers, and without Jefferson's militia, we're no match for the British.
You're full of good questions, Sarah. Yes, I think we should educate everyone. Men, women, even slaves.
And how exactly would you do it?
Ah, there's the problem. Having ideas and implementing them are two very different things.
Are they really? I mean...
The stores are in place. The firewood has been cut. Your home is secured for the winter, Master.
Thank you, Great George. I'll need Tuckahoe secured as well. And let me give you some letters for my wife and daughter. Excuse me, Sarah. We'll talk more later. Being governor takes a great deal of time from my family. Fortunately, I have help in remaining in contact with them.
Help? You own other human beings and you refer to them as help? You own slaves!
You, the man who wrote the Declaration of Independence, is what I wanted to say, but I didn't have the nerve. And by the way, Governor Jefferson is still unable to raise any militiamen to send to General Greene. As always, Sarah.
Have you noticed that every week it gets harder to tell what's in the soup? We've got the usual bear fat, but this batch looks to have beaver tail and muskrat.
That can't be beaver tail. It's got a tooth in it.
A tooth? I'm not eating this.
That's a first, but don't complain to the cook. Poor guy has to make meals out of anything he can catch.
There's only one way we can even hope to beat Cornwallis.
Beat Cornwallis? Half the men aren't well enough to walk.
Shh, come on.
My plan is to hit him when and where he's not expecting us, then run like the wind before he can catch us. Chasing us will force Cornwallis to use up all his supplies. He'll have to take new supplies from the local population. They will despise him for that. Then the people in the South will move over to our cause, and Cornwallis will withdraw. I hope.
That's his plan?
Where's that coming from? We're under attack! Take cover!
Dear Sarah, I don't know if General Greene's plan to get the British to chase us all over the Carolinas is helping us win the hearts and minds of the population, but I sure am getting to see a lot of the country. I do hope, though, that Thomas Jefferson can convince his militia to reinforce us before we get to see much more of it. But Sarah, how are you? Have you finished your interview with Thomas Jefferson? I can't wait to read it.
No, James. What can I possibly ask him that wouldn't be horribly disrespectful? Governor, would you please tell your slaves about how all men are created equal? And on top of it all, Benedict Arnold is attacking from the north. Oh, that traitor! James, we are forced to evacuate Richmond.
Sir, the British are nearing the city, 1,500 strong.
What of our militia?
Of the 4,600 men you called up, only 200 have reported.
That means Arnold will march into Richmond unopposed.
I never thought the traitor would make it all the way to Richmond. We must speed up our evacuation.
Over there, the tree! Seek cover! Follow him!
Not under the trees!
We've got to get these men out of the rain.
They could get struck by lightning. The trees attract it.
It is what gave Benjamin Franklin his idea for the lightning rod.
I'll yield to Dr. Franklin's science. Away from the trees! We'll try that barn over there.
Let's go! Halt! We heard you were coming, General. Get off my land.
Shelter from the rain, sir. That's all we require.
I want nothing to do with your insurrection. You and your men, keep moving.
We'll take his barn whether he likes it or not.
Take it!
Halt! You heard the man. We'll continue up the road. Move out!
James?
What?
I don't think this strategy always running from the enemy, is working.
That's because you don't understand General Green's brilliant tactics. At least this is an army now. An army people might join.
An army that can't feed its soldiers or keep them dry? Oh, sure, I'd join that army.
We have to put our faith in General Green.
General Cornwallis, sir. All signs indicate that the enemy passed through here only hours ago.
I told you burning our wagons and excess baggage would speed us up.
Yes, sir, but it's also left us woefully short of food.
There's a farm ahead. We'll take what we need.
No, stop! You can't do that!
Oh!
Madam, your husband would do well to cooperate. Carry on!
We're loyalists. We've never supported the fight against England. If you take our stock, how are we to eat?
We are at war, my good woman. The king's soldiers come first. I have every confidence you will survive this inconvenience.
Move out! I'm all right. I'm all right.
Dear James and Henri, the British have withdrawn to Portsmouth, and we are returning to Richmond. Prior to our evacuation, Governor Jefferson had finally made some progress toward convincing the Virginia legislature to provide men and supplies for General Greene. Now he must start all over, and as for my interview with the governor, it will instead be an expose revealing his awful hypocrisy on the issue of slavery. I'm sorry to be the bearer of bad news, Sarah.
James, are we ever going to eat tonight? I found some hickory nuts, a hunk of ox jerky, and, well, I think this was a squirrel.
Get that thing out of here.
Hey, that was hard to find!
Is food all you ever think about?
I was just...
There's more to this war than filling your belly.
I'm sorry, James.
Wait, Henri? I'm sorry. It's not you. I just found out there are still no reinforcements coming from Virginia. So the army's gonna have to keep running. Just like in New York and New Jersey, just like in Philadelphia, just like they've been doing for the whole war.
General Greene says if we make it across the Dan River tomorrow, the running might be over.
So what? You were right. His plan's not working. It's not winning anyone over to our cause. What am I supposed to tell the people who read our newspaper?
Tell them our forces are so thin that General Greene does not want to risk their lives in an uneven fight. And tell them that the food in the South is not what it's cracked up to be, unless they like squirrel.
Hold on!
I need to get my men across the river, and quickly. If the British catch us here, we'll be destroyed. Where are the fords?
Fords?
Yes, the best places to cross the river.
Use your eyes, Colonel. The river's in front.
Then I'll need your boats.
Is that so? British or Continental, you boys are all the same. Think you can take whatever you want? Well, I know you're not going to send my boats back. That's just be giving the redcoats a way to cross the river. So, you're going to have to pay for them before you can take them.
That's only fair. I'll make you a trade.
You will?
I'll give you 20 horses for your boats. Good ones.
Why am I just watching? This is a great story.
The Southern Army owes you a debt of gratitude, sir. Thank you.
General, I was neutral in this war, but from now on, consider me what are we calling ourselves these days? Revolutionaries? Sons of Liberty?
Just Americans.
Maybe we'll win their hearts and minds after all.
American! I'm an American!
I'm disappointed that the legislature has once again refused my call for more militia, but I can't say I'm surprised.
If you need men, sir, what about learning from the British? You could promise freedom to slaves who will fight for America.
I might support it, but the Virginia legislature never will. The state's economy is dependent upon slavery.
Is the economy as important as the fact that all men are created equal?
No, Sarah, it isn't nearly as important.
But Governor Jefferson, you own slaves.
Yes, but I have proclaimed slavery an abomination that must be brought to an end.
Proclaimed? With respect, sir, proclaiming isn't doing.
This is a young country, Sarah. Still locked in a battle for its own survival. There are countless issues to be addressed, limitless problems to be solved. Slavery is one of the biggest. And Sarah, we will solve it. Do you view me and my colleagues as great men?
Yes, sir, I do.
Well, we are great. Great with human flaws, as well as human hopes. I doubt there's a man among us great enough to see the horror of slavery eliminated in our lifetime. I've tried, and I will keep trying. And if we cannot correct this abomination, then those who follow us shall. Take courage in that.
Governor Jefferson, I must confess. I've been writing an expose about you and your slaves for Dr. Franklin's Gazette. But now, after listening to you, I don't think I'll publish it.
I commend your passion, Sarah. When the war ends, I intend to draft a plan for freeing all the slaves in this country. I'd welcome your thoughts on the subject.
Governor Jefferson, you don't know what you're getting yourself into.
Look at this! Jams! And jams! And more jams! Oh, and rock candy! Moses and I will starve while you're in France.
Those sweets are to ease the discomfort of a long voyage.
If you try to ship out with our peach jam, you'll have to get past me first.
Congress won't be happy if you delay their most important statesman.
They would understand if they knew how good this jam tastes.
You're probably right. But they have asked Dr. Franklin to try to enlist France in the American cause.
Right now, we Americans stand alone in the world. We must acquire allies, or the revolution is doomed.
Promise me you'll bring back some French pastries.
I'm worried about him. After his last voyage, he swore he'd never cross the Atlantic again. 70 is very, very old. At his age and in his health, who knows if he'll survive the trip? There! Who's it from?
Sarah and James. Would you like to read it, Henri?
I couldn't possibly read through the tears in my eyes. Tears from seeing all this food for the last time.
I hope it's good news. If I'm to convince France to help us, we have to show that we can gain a victory against the British on our own.
What's wrong?
Washington is retreating from Manhattan.
Dear Mother, please forgive the irritable nature of my letter, but I'm tired and thirsty. Oh. And the men in these colonies suffer from a decided lack of gallantry. In addition, since I'm not a man, General Washington told me I couldn't stay at the front lines. He sent me to a place called Fort Triumph.
Here!
It can't be much of a fort, as I'm about to join a group of camp followers, women and children who live here with their soldiers. I'd certainly rather be viewing the action with the General and James than be here watching people wash clothes. Thank you, sir.
Nice little stroll, huh?
Huh?
I'm Margaret Corbin. My friends call me Molly. Who are you?
Thank you. I'm Sarah Phillips. It's good.
Of course it is. The dirt from the river adds flavor.
Oh.
I've been General Washington's secretary for months now, and I've never seen him so discouraged.
All we need is a victory, and I know the General will deliver it. He's the most decisive, commanding man I've ever met.
Lieutenant Harrison, I need you now.
Commanding is right.
English is not even my language. This here talk funny, and I can't learn to read.
Who says this?
Other boys.
Let me tell you something, Henri. It's a credo I live by. Be what you want to be, not what people tell you you can be.
Well, then stop telling me I can be a reader. What I want to be is left alone.
You owe it to yourself to hone your reading, writing, and arithmetic.
I'm doing just fine without it.
Yes, you've done well so far. You've learned a trade and a second language, and I'd like to help you keep learning.
Why?
For one thing, if you could improve your skills at estimation, we might not be short logs for the fire, and we wouldn't both be freezing our toes off.
At least we're not outside. Do you think Sarah and James are all right out in the wilderness?
Rosemary, stop wiping your nose on my dress. Ouch! This is ridiculous. I'm out in the middle of Fort Nowhere, fishing for trousers.
You're not the only one who didn't want to come here.
Oh, hello, Molly.
After my husband John enlisted, he was about to leave our place in Pennsylvania. Know what it's like to be a woman living alone in the wilderness?
I'm sure I don't.
In that wild country, I wouldn't even have been able to feed myself.
Hey, Maul. What's for supper? Some kind of shirt soup?
Better than raw squirrel or whatever it is you got stuck in your beard.
Ah, you leg puller. Raw squirrel. It's probably raccoon.
It's amazing the way you keep your optimism in a place like this.
Dearie, when I was 5, my daddy was killed and my mama kidnapped. I never saw her again. If that didn't ruin my life, I'm sure not gonna let this do it.
Who's your friend, Ma?
Sarah, she's English.
Well, we won't hold that against her.
This is John. He's a matras. Cleans and loads the cannons. I'm mighty proud of him. One reason I don't mind working so hard. We can't have the man loading the cannon wear dirty drawers, can we?
What kind of cannons are they?
Pennsylvania 6-pounders, right up there on the brow of that hill. We protect the northern approach to Fort Washington. Those beauties will make things plenty tough on the lobsterbacks. I beg your pardon for the slight, Sarah.
Never mind. I quite understand.
Ignore him. John just doesn't like red. Sure am lucky he married me.
Don't let her fool you, Sarah. I'm lucky she married me.
It's not like I had lots of choices. It was either him or Squirrel Beard over there.
It's Raccoon!
Dr. Franklin, the only thing you'll catch with a line that thick is influenza.
I think I've already got that. Actually, at the other end of the line is a thermometer to measure the water temperature.
I'll save you the trouble. It's cold.
I study the ocean currents and temperatures every time I cross the Atlantic. It was these studies that helped me chart the Gulf Stream 7 years ago.
Just don't let your studies interfere with your health. It's my job to get you to France alive. How are you feeling?
I'm not sleeping well in these rough seas, and the food, particularly the salt beef, is tough on 70-year-old teeth. But the fresh air seems to do me some good. However, I'd prefer to avoid the frequent baths.
Gentlemen, I have surprising news. The British have begun moving back to Manhattan. I suspect they're mobilizing to attack Fort Washington. Our last stronghold in Manhattan. It houses some of our finest troops and a large amount of our armaments and ammunition. This fort and its outposts are critically important to the war for both sides.
Sarah's at one of those outposts.
Yes, your friend who wanted to see action is about to get her wish.
Swab cannon!
Load powder.
Load ball!
Ram her home.
Cannon ready to fire!
Molly, how brave you are.
She's the best artillery mate in the whole regiment.
I can't believe you're permitted to do such a thing.
I don't ask permission to do nothing. I believe in being what you want to be, not what people tell you to be.
I know someone else who shares your point of view.
Je ne connais pas les mots. I can't read the recipe. I'm starved to death. Who is there?
Henri?
Moses, is that you?
What's wrong, lad?
Nothing's wrong.
Come on, son, tell me.
When you didn't come back, I tried to make dinner from the notes you left me, but I couldn't measure.
Oh, you're teasing me now.
And there's lots of words I don't understand. Hey, you're the one who's teasing me. Oh, you were late on purpose. You knew I wouldn't be able to make myself food. I could have starved.
Somehow, I think you wouldn't have starved. But reading and measuring are important things to know. Have you changed your mind about learning them?
Yes. Even if other fellows don't think I can. But not right away.
Why not?
Because I'm too hungry.
First, a late supper. Then, a late lesson.
We absolutely must evacuate Fort Washington. The armaments at the fort are critical to our cause. America has no munitions factories. We've no way to replace the guns and ammunition if they're captured.
General Washington, I strongly disagree with Colonel Reed. I'm confident we can hold the fort.
If we can hold it, we should hold it.
Sir, General Greene would risk over 2,000 of our finest troops. We've already lost too many to disease and desertion. I don't have the stomach to lose any more.
We're in a war, Joe. We're bound to lose men if you haven't the stomach for it. Get another job. I stand by my recommendation to hold the fort.
General Green's right. We must fight. Excuse me. Sirs.
Sir, this hesitation to evacuate is nothing short of reckless. Forgive me, but you must make up your mind.
It's only November. How much colder does it get here?
Much. That's why when John's tour of duty's up, we're moving south. Then we'll start a family.
Oh, how many children do you want?
I don't know. 8, 10.
Oh, my.
John's a good man. He'll make a fine father. Probably a tired one, too.
I miss my family terribly, but being around people like you makes my stay here so much easier.
Here now. I'll make it easier still. I like to press the summer flowers. They always add a bit of cheer when winter comes knocking.
It still has its perfume.
General Washington, sir, we need a decision now. Do we abandon Fort Washington or do we defend it?
General Greene, as you are the officer most familiar with the situation, I leave it to you to give such orders as to defending Mount Washington as you judge best.
I appreciate your confidence in me, sir.
So, General Howe demands that I surrender this fort over to you British. Please repeat the following to your commander. Give me leave to assure His Excellency that, inspired by the most glorious cause that mankind ever fought in, I am determined to defend this post to the last man.
I would expect nothing else from a soldier of Colonel McGaw's reputation. That will be all. Gentlemen, I am resolved to crush the rebels into dust. Even a single victory could give their so-called revolution momentum on the battlefield as well as support from foreign shores. Especially France.
Look at all the redcoats. They're preparing for an attack.
And we won't have long to wait either. See there? Hessian troops to the north.
Hessian mercenaries. I can't believe the king is paying Germans to come here and kill British colonists.
General Washington's not going to evacuate the fort after all, is he?
He's worried that it may not be as strong as we think. He wants to inspect it in person.
Why does he keep changing his mind?
The British have begun their attack!
Like it or not, we have lost our opportunity to evacuate the fort.
With this 6-pounder, we might be able to hold off the Hessians, but not the King's Navy.
Chance against so many British troops?
No, we'll have to make a run for Fort Washington. John! John! Oh, John. My love.
Molly?
Keep firing. If we can't hold this position, you won't have the Corbins to blame.
us.
Fort Tryon has fallen. There's nothing we can do for those poor souls.
Please let Sarah be all right. General! They're raising the Union Jack over Fort Washington!
That's it then. General Howe has prevailed. This is a most unfortunate affair and has given me great mortification, as we have lost not only 2,000 men, but a good deal of artillery and some of the best arms we had.
Sir, the men panicked. I did not account for the possibility if we had but held the perimeter.
No, sir. We should have abandoned the fort as General Lee and I urged.
Gentlemen, please. I, alone, am to blame.
I've never seen him look so disappointed, so helpless.
He is in danger of becoming a parody of a general.
I pray Colonel Reed is wrong.
What happened to Fort Tryon? To Sarah?
Women and children will be returned to us. This may be war, James, but there are rules.
What's that? I think it's... Yes, it is! The camp followers from Fort Tryon! Sarah! Excuse me? Sarah? Sarah? Oh, I'm sorry. Sarah! Thank goodness you're safe.
Yes, I'm safe.
How can we continue the fight after this? It's hopeless.
Nothing's hopeless. Not when people like Molly fight on when all seems lost. If all the colonists display her spirit, America will be very difficult to defeat.
Will your friend be all right?
Yes, you can't keep the Corbins down.
I learned an important lesson today, Mr. Harrison. As much as I respect my generals and consider them my family, never again will I make a decision that goes against my own instincts. A disaster like this battle must never happen again. We must prevail in our fight for freedom. We will prevail in our fight for freedom.
Maybe with the spirit of George Washington.
And Captain Molly, and Ben Franklin, and so many others.
All isn't lost after all.
Dearest Abigail, I write you from France for what may be the last time. Congress, in its infinite wisdom, has chosen not to reappoint me to my diplomatic post. After 18 months away, I'll be coming home. If my letters have been restrained, it's only for fear they would be stolen by the British. But Abigail, do not doubt my love for you. It is all I have left. Your dearest friend, John.
Take heart, John Adams, and don't count this adventure a failure.
Thank you, Doctor, for all your kindnesses.
Not at all. If I may have a word with John Quincy.
By all means.
John Quincy, one day the state of our new nation will rest upon the shoulders of young lads like you. In the meantime, try to have a little fun. Climb a tree, fly a kite.
Yes, sir, Dr. Franklin, but I do think I shall be better off learning physics.
Of all my accomplishments, the one I'm most proud of, I learned as a boy. Do you know what that is?
No, sir.
There's your physics. Remember, John Quincy, lost time is not found again.
Better check your pie, Sarah.
I do believe apple is my favorite.
It's John's as well.
Mother, remember how much he loves mince pie?
I'd almost forgotten. If I don't see him soon, I swear I shall forget his face.
How long has it been since you last heard from him?
It seems like months. I don't know how much longer I can carry on without him. Why did he only send me 2 letters in 18 months when I wrote him dozens?
Ow! Ow!
Henri Lefebvre, that serves you right. Mrs. Adams, look!
Abigail!
Oh, John!
Father! Father!
Oh, my boys. Look at my boys.
Oh, my dear John Quincy.
It's so good to see you. We missed you. Oh, Father, I'm so glad you're home.
John Adams, you're much too old to be climbing trees.
Nonsense. Got it!
John, are you all right?
Not even bruised.
Honestly, what am I going to do with you?
Keep me here, put me to work. At least I know I'll be appreciated. For you, darling.
I know it sounds selfish, but I'm tired of sharing you with Congress, Paris, and the Revolution.
After all we've been through these last few years, I understand.
And Father sent me to the finest école in Paris. That's French for school.
Say something else in French.
Tell us you like to eat fish.
That's easy. J'aime manger le poisson. And what is so funny?
You just said you like to eat poison.
Did not.
Did too. Le poison, poison. Le poisson, fish.
What do you know? Have you ever been to school? Do you know Latin or Greek? Have you studied physics or chemistry?
No, but I know how to catch birds and toads.
Just as I thought. You don't know anything, do you?
General John Sullivan?
Why, if it isn't James Hiller from Dr. Franklin's newspaper.
I hope this isn't a bad time.
Not at all, me lad.
I heard that Congress ordered you up here to fight the Iroquois.
Only because General Washington called it a necessity. After what they did to the families at Wyoming and Cherry Valley, men were deserting in droves so they could go home to protect their loved ones.
Have you done any fighting yet?
We engaged the Redcoats and their Mohawk allies outside of Newtown just a few days ago. Our cannon sent them running like rabbits. I was hoping we'd capture their murder-in-chief, Colonel Joseph Brant, but so far he's managed to slip away.
Joseph Brant?
Aye.
He's the prize. The devil that fought against us in General Burgoyne's army. He was there when they massacred all those women and children at Cherry Valley as well.
How do you plan on capturing him?
I have an army of 4,000 men. We'll find Brant even if it means scorching the earth between here and Canada.
Would you mind if I wrote a story about it?
Why not? After all, it could make me a national hero.
John Adams?
Honestly, how could he have let his clothes get into this state and present himself to the court at Versailles?
Abigail! Massachusetts! Holding a convention! Drafting a new constitution!
Slow down, John.
It's exactly what I envisioned. Nothing like this has ever been done before. The citizens themselves will actually have the chance to vote on it.
As they should, but what does that have to do with us?
The good people of Braintree have asked me to be a delegate.
But you've barely been home a week.
The convention's close by, and I'll be only one of 250 delegates.
If your country needs you, I suppose you'll need this.
Well, you'd think she'd be happy.
You should see some of their castles. That's what the Iroquois called their villages. Living better than we do. Of course, that'll change after the war.
Will you really destroy everything?
The Iroquois Confederacy had their chance to join us. But that devil Brant convinced 4 of the 6 Indian nations to side with the British.
But what if you're destroying crops that belong to the Indians on our side?
Fortune's a war, me lad. Fortune's a war.
Look at it!
How am I supposed to prepare for Harvard with all this racket going on?
Maybe you'd like to try.
Don't be ridiculous.
Tell you what, I'll teach you how to fly it if you help me with my reading and writing.
Are you seriously proposing to trade my knowledge for yours?
I'll even toss in my own method of catching toads. Unless that's something you're going to learn at Harvard. Oh, I'm sorry I laughed at you. What do you say?
Well, I suppose we could try it.
Great! Here.
What do I do now?
Have fun!
Was that you I saw flying a kite today, John Quincy?
I was merely interested in the physics of it.
Abigail. Children, I have good news to share. The convention was a shambles until I arrived. Then the delegates formed a committee of 30 men to draft the Constitution. That committee, in turn, chose a subcommittee of 3 men who, naturally, picked me.
That's splendid, John. Might we talk outside for a moment?
It's nothing. Just continue eating. I thought you'd be pleased at the honor.
I am, John, as I've always been pleased at the work you've done for the revolution. But how much longer will this go on? You left me for 18 months. Now that I've gotten you back, I don't want to lose you again.
I'll work here at home.
Shut away in your office. I understand, John, I really do. But what about the children? Little Thomas barely knows you.
Look at me. How could John Adams, leader of the American Revolution, turn down the chance to write a document that may very well serve as a model for a new nation?
What about John Adams' father and husband? When do I get that John Adams back?
How could we have done this? What?
What are you doing here?
I'm a journalist, writing a story for a newspaper.
I am Tayen Danageya of the Mohawk Nation.
I had nothing to do with this, I swear.
No, just those you write about.
General Sullivan's army is only doing this because Chief Joseph Brant and his Mohawks massacred women and children at Cherry Valley.
What do you know of that? Come with me, journalist, and soon you will see which side is truly savage.
The people have always some
champion.
Merci. Champion, whom they set over them and nurse into greatness. This and no other is the root from which a tyrant springs. Should I keep going?
That's quite enough for one day. Now it's my turn.
What would you like to do first? Climb a tree or catch a toad?
Catching a toad would be quite a dirty business. Let's do that.
What do you see here?
Trees? A river? Farmland?
You see with a white man's eyes. I look and I see the past. Once thousands of my people prospered here. 6 nations formed the mighty Iroquois Confederacy: Mohawk, Oneida, Onondaga, Cayuga, Seneca, and Tuscarora. Now, because of the Bostonians, that time is gone forever.
The Bostonians?
That is my name for John Adams and the other American revolutionaries. The ones who seek to make of this their nation, and who will take this land that was meant for all to share. Have you ever thought of writing about that?
But the English are far worse.
Are you hungry, journalist?
I suppose.
I will fill your belly with the tale of the English and Joseph Brant.
I'm sorry if my mood is dark, Sarah.
With your permission, Mrs. Adams, may I speak from my own experience?
By all means.
After not seeing my father for so many years, not knowing whether he was alive or dead, I had to leave him in Ohio. Then I went to England to be with my mother, only to leave her again as well. It's because of the war, Mrs. Adams, the fight for liberty.
Thank you for reminding me of what I'd almost forgotten. These are indeed times that call for great sacrifices, but even more so for great strength and understanding.
Joseph Brant was raised by an Englishman, Sir William Johnson, Britain Superintendent of Indian Affairs. Sir William brought Joseph to Connecticut, saw to his education, even married his sister. Joseph joined the Anglican Church and even translated part of the Bible into the language of our fathers. Have you been to England?
No.
Joseph Brant, as chief of the Mohawks, sailed there on an English ship. He saw plays by Shakespeare. He even broke bread with King George. The British warned Joseph Brant that the Bostonians would steal our lands if we remained neutral. Our mothers and sisters were afraid. What would you have done in our situation?
I don't know.
Joseph trusted the British and their promises to protect us. Yet by siding with them, we have given the Bostonians good reason to take our lands. Like a prophecy come true, we have brought our own destruction upon our heads.
John, will you walk with me?
Now reach under and grab it. Go on.
Got it. I dub thee King George.
Across this river is the great castle of my people. The nights grow longer and the days colder. Tell me, journalist, what will my people eat this winter? Where will they live? We supplied food for the British soldiers. Who will feed us now? Oh, brave new world that has such people in it. William Shakespeare, the English playwright. Once I thought to translate his words as well. Now there seems no point.
You're him. You're Colonel Brandt. Why didn't you want me to know?
One can only tell the truth when he has seen it with both eyes.
What a story.
I've written about the form of government and its guarantees, freedom of speech, freedom of the press, and so on, yet something is still missing.
If I may.
You know how much I value your thoughts.
Perhaps you need to include a section that captures not just the form of government, but its hopes and dreams for our people as well.
Yes! Yes! But what are those hopes and dreams?
Let early education be a source of amusement. You will then be better able to find out the natural bent.
I quite agree. Don't you, King George?
Of course. It shall be the duty of this Commonwealth to cherish the interests of education, of literature and the sciences, of public schools and grammar schools in the towns, to encourage the arts, to promote the principles of humanity and general benevolence, public and private charity, honesty and sincerity, good humor and generous sentiments among the people.
Got a letter from Abigail Adams.
May I read it, please? I'm a good reader now.
I don't see why not.
Let's see. My dear Sarah, I trust this letter finds you safe and well at Dr. Franklin's in Philadelphia.
Very good, Henri.
The children all miss you and Henri very much. They miss me. The constant... Here, you can read this part.
The Constitutional Convention unanimously ratified John's document, and the people of Massachusetts will soon vote to accept or reject it.
As I write this, I must tell you how empty the House feels now. Congress wrote to John asking him to return to France to negotiate a peace treaty with Great Britain. Without so much as a word to me first, he accepted. Charles is old enough to go with him now. John Quincy, however, wanted to stay here with me. I told him these are times in which a genius would wish to live. It is a time when great character is formed. Thank you, Sarah, for helping me remember that great necessities call out great virtues. All will be well.